So anyway, I'm on Twitter a couple of times, and I keep getting these messages from a friend of mine on Twitter, but I always think they're just like social calls. And then I realized it was a little deeper than that my friend, who happens to be a criminal trial attorney and a defense attorney, as well as, well, I'll let her tell you. My friend Phyllis is running for judge in Fort Lauderdale. How you doing, Phyllis?
I'm doing great, Joyce, and thanks for having me on. And isn't Twitter great?
Oh,
that
man.
We can. Without it, we wouldn't have communicated this way.
Well, we would have. When I saw you, you would have told me, because I was kind of surprised. Like, when did you decide this? I mean, you're such a good lawyer. Like there's not enough good lawyers, and there seem to be an abundance of judges.
It's interesting you say that. Some people may disagree with that, but I decided to file right before the deadline, actually, and in May, and the election is August 30th, and
Right.
It's important I say that because it's not November.
Right.
August is the primary, and because I only have one opponent, my race will be decided August 30th.
Okay.
So November is for people who have more than one opponent, and then they go to a runoff in November, where the presidential election.
Wow. All right. So this is an important race. Why do you want to be a judge? I mean, I know you to be a fair person, a pretty compassionate person. You know, being a judge, while those are great qualities, you have to make some tough calls.
I really appreciate that you see I have a natural proclivity or a passion for finding the good in people, and I can tell you that having practiced 25 years in criminal defense, which means predominantly representing people that get arrested and have interaction, as we say, with the criminal justice system, coming upon them at probably the worst time in their life, and I'm proud to say never having been disciplined by the Florida bar in 25 years, that's quite an accomplishment, because that means that I have resolved and gotten them through one of the worst parts in their life. That doesn't mean I've won every trial. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean everything's had a happy ending, but it means they felt that I listened to them, and like you said, I was compassionate, I was fair, I'm a tenacious fighter, and that's what made me a good lawyer. Why did I want to run for judge?
Right.
Because I saw that I had pretty much done as much as I could accomplish as a lawyer. And I became frustrated sometimes with judges that either would not let my client be heard, would not be empathetic or compassionate, or kind of rush things. And rushed the docket,
right.
or was rushed to judgment, let's say.
Right.
And so I felt that we needed judges on the bench that had lots of years of experience. The Florida bar only requires you to be a practicing lawyer for 5 years before you can run for judge.
Wow.
Then what would we have? Politicians on the bench.
Right.
I think it's important to have lawyers that have real experience on the bench, because you can't be a referee of a prize fighting or ring or a boxing match if you haven't been a boxer.
Yeah, well, that's true. And, you know, I do know a handful of judges that are currently serving in Broward, and they were all great attorneys at one time, and most of them with substantial experience. But I've also run into some of these judges who I don't know how they got. I mean, it must be straight out politics.
Well, let me tell you, there's two ways to become a judge.
Right.
One, you can get elected, which is obviously and I can tell you, having run a campaign now, it's the rough way to go.
Right.
But there's the other way, and that's getting appointed by the governor.
Right.
To me, that involves passing a political litmus test, or having connections, or having the JNC, which is a close-knit committee of lawyers, sometimes in a firm, choose you. And the odds are small that that's going to happen. So I think that's how maybe some of those judges got there. I think it's better when they're elected, because the public gets a choice.
Right. The problem, one of the problems I have with judge elections, and especially in the 35 years that I've been watching them go on in Broward County, is that they're nonpartisan races that always end up with a partisan angle, and then they are it seems to me they don't give anybody an opportunity to talk. I mean, you're so restricted in what you can say that, I can't have an in-depth, analysis with you about a lot of different subjects, especially about any ongoing legal matters. And so how does somebody, show who they are to the public when they're so limited?
You are absolutely right. The canons prevent us from even saying which party we are.
Right.
It's totally nonpartisan.
Right.
We are not allowed to take a position on any type of issue, whether it be a big issue like abortion or a small issue like feeding the homeless, which I have been very active in. I can't really pontificate about any particular issue, and the thinking of the canons, of the people who made those, is that when someone comes before you and you rule against them, they'll say, well, you expressed in your campaign, a leaning that way, so you're not really objective. And so they're doing this to make sure that we have at least the appearance of being, totally objective. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we all have our leanings, and we all belong to a certain party. Yeah. Having said that, I think the best way that you can pick judges, and then, Joyce, you ask a great question, because as I'm going on the campaign trail, I'm saddened to learn when I speak to people, how do they pick judges? They pick it by a yard sign.
Right.
They skip it entirely. They pick it by how the name sounds.
Yep.
They pick it if it's a man or a woman. They pick, there's no, and I can't fault them because we all have busy lives. We don't have time to be researching everyone on the ballot. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of, I feel my responsibility to get my message out there and say who I am and what I have to offer. Right. And if I don't do that, then I'm being less than derelict in my duty to the voters so that they know who they're voting for or what their clear choices are.
Right.
And
yeah, it's very limited, though. And that's, why I think I've covered these races for the last 25 years. And, you're absolutely correct. I talk to the people who vote in these various counties, whether it's Dade or Broward or Palm Beach County. And they say, well, I vote for the woman with the Italian name. I mean, or,
exactly.
And I go, well, wait a minute. Or they say, I never vote to keep anybody. I vote to oust everybody. And I go, but without knowing anything about them? I mean, it's like, it's disheartening. It's got to be disheartening for you running. It's certainly disheartening for me as a pundit to know that people would vote without knowing who the person was.
Well, it is. And because I'm in the courthouse every day, it's really upsetting because when I won't say any names, but one of our recent judges was stopped for hitting the retaining wall and being on some medication, and then she ran for judge and was reelected.
Yep.
And I found that to be
amazing,
just incredulous.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, and yet it happened, and that just it proved the point of exactly what you're saying, that they don't know who they're voting for. And I find that so shocking, but yet when someone says to me, who are you voting for in the school board, and I'm not involved with the school board,
right.
I don't know the school board members.
Right.
And then I realize that maybe the public's not so at fault. It's,
right.
I know the lawyers because that's what I do, but I don't read up on the school board members. And so, how much is a citizen supposed to do? Again, I feel the duty falls on me to get out there and say what I am, what I have. I have 25 years experience. I don't have any problems with the Florida bar. I am a tenacious fighter. I feel that I am fair. I am serious. I am compassionate. I will follow the law. Mm-hmm. I've been in the trenches. I know civil law. I'm a Supreme Court certified circuit civil mediator. So having run my own law firm for 25 years, I've had everything come through the door. So I have a myriad of experience. And
that's it. Remember, if you're going to remember a name, I want you to remember Phyllis Pritcher's name, okay?
Because, that's right. PP, remember me. Everybody needs a slogan. That's about what I can say. And I want to say that having said that, how are people supposed to know? Mm-hmm. Tonight I am attending the Margate Democratic Club, and we're having a forum. Tomorrow night, that's tonight. Tomorrow night is the Tamarack. I mean, there are different groups that have us speak. Last week we spoke at the Davie Merchants. So there are different clubs and groups that are asking us to speak. And when I say Democratic, because we're nonpartisan, we don't attend any part of their meeting that is
Right.
partisan. They have us speak separate and apart from that. But I'm just saying that we are invited different places.
And you have
but
a website?
It's really hard for a person that's working and has children or has a full life to really go and attend those forums.
Absolutely.
And I
Although
understand
people
that.
who listen to this radio program do just that. And there's a great website that they can get a lot of information about the candidate. It's pritcherforjudge.com. That's Pritcher for judge.com. A lot about her. And I know she doesn't look old enough in these pictures to have practiced for 25 years.
They're photoshopped.
It's because she and I share the same great cosmetic dermatologist.
That's true. That's true. We do.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, information-wise, the public doesn't know this, but it's on my website. You can go to Pritcher for Judge. You can get an absentee ballot. You don't need to leave your house. Just push on my website that you want a ballot. It will redirect you to Brenda Snipes, Division of Elections.
Right.
You will fill out the information. This year, the stamp is included. You make your choices. No stamp. Just drop it in the mailbox, and you have voted.
Beautiful.
Or you have the alternative of participating in early voting this year, and you can avoid all the long lines and things like that. And that's August
I think it starts,
20th and August 28th. So there's 8 days that you can do early voting, or you can wait to the last day, August 30th, when there tends to be longer lines. So yes, but the absentee and early voting is certainly a way to do that, and it's all on my website. It will redirect you to Brenda Snipes.
All right. Well, good luck. We'll be in touch, and certainly keep me in the loop. Let me know where some of your appearances are. If you Twitter that out, I'll get it out. I'll get the word out.
Absolutely. I will Twitter right now, or I'm going to be tonight.
Very good. Good.
Okay.
Good luck,
Thanks,
Phyllis. Bye-bye.
Okay,
All
bye.
right. Good person. Great attorney. I mean, I happen to know that for a fact. She never represented me, but she represented a friend of mine. Great attorney.